This is an oral history interview with Carmella Farina by Jack Shoestake, conducted on April 15th at 99 Craft Street. This interview was conducted as part of the History of Newton project of the Newton Public Library and Boston College. Who in your family was an immigrant?
The first one that came with my first uncle, Loretto Tosa. He came in 1912, at boy 16. He stayed here 4 years. Then he sent for his two brothers. His two brothers came, Antonio and Patsy, and then my father, Bernard, who was Gentile, came. But they came after the war, the First World War, which ended in 1921. They all came here. They went back and forth several times. They came here.
From Italy and America?
Yes, from Italy and America. At that time, it would cost, my uncle said it cost about $20 passage. But they had to borrow the money. None of them had any money. They were very, very poor. They're all mountain people. They lived in the village of San Donato, which is in the mountain of San Donato Mountain. They all had to borrow money. They had no money. I don't know where they borrowed money from. I can't remember exactly what they borrowed. They came here. They worked for 50 cents a day, $1 a day, and they made $30 a month. And they said part of their different took care of their fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters in Italy. Then
Were you born in Italy yourself?
I was born in Italy. I came here when I was 6 years old.
What year was that?
1928, just before the Depression.
Do you remember coming here or the trip over?
Yes, I remember coming over because I had my brother who was 18 months old. My mother and I came. See, the men came first, but their wives could not come for 5 years. The husband had to get his citizenship papers first. And that took, they had to wait 5 years. By the time they applied for it, they got the citizenship papers and they could make their wives come. It took 5 years. So that's why there's always 5-year difference between every family, every Italian family that's here in Newton. I'm 5 years older than my brother. My cousins are 5 years, one cousin's 5 years older than all the other children. See, the father would go back to Italy in between, have another child, would come back here, and then by that time he was a citizen, and then he could make his life and children come. So I was 5 years old, and I was on the boat, Ponte di Savoy, ocean liner, filled with Italian immigrants, and we arrived at Ellis Island.
New York?
New York.
Do you know why your father chose to settle in Nonantum specifically?
Because my mother wanted to come with her brothers. I had 3 brothers with me. My father's brothers had gone to New York, but my mother wanted to come with her brothers where she felt more at home with her brothers and her sister-in-law. She knew them very, very well.
What section of Italy were you from?
We were all from San Donato. Everybody in Nonantum was from San Donato. Because, as I said, each brother would call another brother, a sister would call another sister, and we all wanted to be, would be like a little village, like a little, they all talk Italian. They have their own Italian stores here, their own Italian Bible, their own Italian shoemaker.
What was your father's occupation?
My father did gardening part-time. He started in the city meeting, I think, probably 1933. And he worked there until he retired, and then he died in 1978, and he retired in 1970. So he worked all those years, 35 to 40 years in the city meeting. He retired, he worked until he was 70 in the city meeting. A long, long time. He enjoyed it very much. And my 3 uncles, many people, many Italian people worked for the city. They thought it was steady work. And they worked in the street department. They did masonry, they did sidewalks. My father drove a truck. He thought he was more educated. But my father was very smart. He bought a typewriter and he took from there. He wanted to make something better than himself. But he really didn't get any education. So he sent all his 5 children to school, we all went through high school, got more than that. But now my brother is foreman here in the city where my father just drove a truck. So his people, his children are all advanced.
I see.
Like my uncle's children are all advanced. My two uncles, their children are all more important now. They advanced, they got education. They all became firemen. They work in stores. They're all high school graduates. But now our generation, the children are all going to college. It's a bit different. My husband said, he wanted all his children to go to college. I said, well, I shouldn't go to college. My daughter's a nurse. One of my sons is a social worker. Another is going to be a psychologist. One is a buyer for a store. That's the difference now. And they can't even have an education. They all wanted education for their children. That's what my husband wanted for his children. My father wanted for all of us. And we all became educated here in America.
How many children did you have?
I had 5 children. My last one now is going to graduate, and she's going to go on to medical technology. But my mother,
How many children did your mother have?
my mother had 5. It was very interesting. My father used to say to her, now, if you don't think you're going to send it back, did we? So she and my aunts, and all the women in Lincoln Road went to classes. There was a teacher, I don't remember her name now, but she taught all these Italian women the Constitution. They all wanted to become citizens. So she'd go to their house once a week, and they'd all meet in one home, and she taught them all who was the first president, you know, all the laws.
How long did it take the wives to become citizens after
Well, probably took, I think it took me probably 10 or 15 years, but they all wanted their own citizenship. It was very interesting. I remember my mother, I was like 10 years old. My mother would say to me, now you ask me questions. And I'd say, now who was George Washington? Who was the first president? I'd ask them the whole history question. So then when they went to Boston to go in front of the judge, they knew it couldn't vote. And I was 10 years old at that time, so this was about 1935, 38.
Where did you first live in Manhattan? Do you remember your first house?
We always lived here in Clinton Street. We lived in Clinton Street for 5 years. Then we lived on Lincoln Road for 5 years, and then we bought a house. My mother's been in the house for 50 years. Same house. And my aunts had lived in their house for 60 years. So he said once they bought a home, they stayed with the road. On Lincoln Road, the Tambashios have lived there 60 years. The Kamatosis have lived there 60 years. The Gentiles have lived there 60 years, and there's 3 Gentile families. There's Jerry Gentile, who bought 5 or 6 houses. They said he gave his money during the Prohibition, making wine and selling wine. But he just died.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is true. Yeah. It's true. And then there are other Gentile families, but they've all lived there 60, 70 years, all in the same homes.
Why do you think people stay in Manhattan as opposed to going to
Well, they have
different areas?
their own stores, as I said. They have the Oliveras Market, they have West Wall Market, they have Antonella's, P.P. Antonella's Market. They have their own bakery, Mad Night. They have his own bakery. So they have their own Italian foods. They imported all the Italian cheese, the Romano cheese. They imported the Italian spaghetti, all the Italian foods for them. Italian olive oil. Everything that they needed, they imported for them. And so they had everything here. And their husbands worked. See, in Italy, we lived in the mountains. There's no work. It's very beautiful. It's very, very beautiful living in San Bernardino. I've been there many times. And they've made it a national park, and it's such a beautiful area. When you go there now to the town of San Bernardino, they have one national park, it's 500 years old, city. And they can't touch anything off the mountains. All the old called, what do they call cobblestone streets. Very, very old So these people left their town there because it's very beautiful. There's no work and no money. And they came to America. Then after 5 years or something, their wives, their children, 5, 10 children. Their children all went to high school. Now their grandchildren are all going to colleges. And they become, like Mr. Antonelli's son was a lawyer. As they advanced, their children advanced. Their children became lawyers, doctors.
Did their children stay in Nonantum?
Some have, and some, a lot of them still doing that, yes.
Why do you think they have stayed?
Well, it's a lovely town. It was a lovely town. But
They
now,
said Nonantum.
now, some of them are on Nonantum, now they're moving to West Newton, which is
Right.
a little more up in class. I think they're more building their own homes now. So this is what's happened to the children.
Do you think they still feel attached to Nonantum?
Oh, yes. They all come from the procession. You know, they have them alive. They come for that. They still shop. And I think Gloria Chain is still there. They go to Gloria Chain. That's been there now quite a few years. It changed hands, the store. But all these stores draw them because they go there and they get their Italian overall and their Italian salamis, their Italian cheeses, all the cheeses that they use, their Italian risotto,
What?
the Italian cheeses, all the Italian food that they liked. They could still get there. They go there and they still get there. They go shopping there.
Do you have any idea why your father settled in Nonantum as opposed to, say,
Brighton.
or Waltham?
Well, because, as I said, my mother was very close to her 3 brothers. And they settled here. My uncle Loretto had come first. So,
Do you know why he settled here first?
no, maybe you can ask him because he's still alive. I don't know why he settled here. Maybe a friend brought him here. I don't know, maybe a friend asked him to come to this spot. So my mother came because her 3 brothers were here. And when they first came, we stayed with them for a month. That's what they used to do. They'd come to a brother and stay with them for a month, or 2 months, or 3 months until they could get a house to rent. And almost all of them did that. They all rented with a friend. Like my father now, for years, he had to wait without my mother for 5 years. He rented with various cousins. The wife would earn extra money by renting a room. She probably, she'd make maybe $10 a month. It wasn't very much. But in those days, it was money. 5, 10, 15, or $20 a month. And that included eating food too for the whole month. I know, those days are gone now. But that's why they went. They went to where a sister was, or a brother.
Family.
Yeah. So they made like Little Italy, really.
Yeah. When you said you came in 1928, do you have any memories of the Depression at that time?
Well, yes, I do, because it was really cool at that time, and everybody could go to welfare, and they used to have a little welfare. The Adams School here, now there's a fire station there, at that time it was the Adams School, and everyone here had to go there, and they'd give you bags of flour, bags of probably beans, staples.
This was the government organized?
Yeah, I imagine it was a city organized, and not just government, the city, city organized. And everyone went there and made flour, and at least the people would make their own bread. My mother and my aunts and other people that they knew would get the flour. They'd give them like 100 pounds flour. And that probably would last them 2 or 3 months. And they'd get yeast cake and they'd make their own flour. Or they'd get the bakery and they'd bake the bread for them. And they had enough bread to live on for a whole week. And they'd do it once a week. And I remember bringing the little wagon with this bread.
Did you go to the bakery?
The one that we went to is a French bakery. Now that one I don't know. It's off Adams Street. It's not there anymore now. There was a little French bakery. They didn't go to Italians. I don't know why they didn't. They probably didn't perform the service. They probably had Viber there. This Frenchman would make you bring your own dough already kneaded and bring it to him and he would bake it for you for probably a few cents.
Did you think, a few cents?
I imagine. I don't know how much it was. it must have been very, very little money, because if you bought bread for 5 cents, I imagine maybe even for 2 pennies, I don't recall what the cost was. There was not much money
So
there.
he was doing it for an enterprise.
Yeah. Yes, a piece of each. But many people did that.
Were there many unemployed?
At that time, yes, at that time I think almost all the immigrants probably were on welfare for American years, but the time people do not stay on welfare. They're very industrious and very hard-working, and the quicker they can get off welfare, they do. They don't like being on welfare. They never did. They did it maybe for a year or a few months or 6 months. But then the minute they get a job, it's going on to work.
What kind of jobs were available?
You know?
Do you recall?
My father drove a chauffeur. A lot of Italian men were chauffeurs. I know one man was a chauffeur for a very wealthy man, or they did gardening. I know one man, Mr. Gordon, his name was Gordon. He was a chauffeur and a gardener for a wealthy family. A lot of Italians did that.
Where were this family in Newton?
Yes. That was a very thing to do. They worked for a wealthy family as a chauffeur and as a gardener or a yard man, as we wanted to call it at the time. A lot of Italians did do truck gardening. How they went from house to house. My uncle said he'd walk 20 miles to go to work. They walked from here to Weston. They used to walk for 2 hours to get to the job, 2 or 3 hours every morning. They worked for 12 hours, and then they had to walk all the way home because they had no means of transportation. That's why they were fascinating. My uncle, he could tell you 3 things. He really would be fascinating. But he made names. Almost people about arthritis. He was 2 pains. So I don't know what tell you. But I did interview them, and this is what they, told me, that they had to walk. They walked from here to Weston, they walked from here to Wayland. They had to walk to get to work. And for $1 a day. And then out of that $1 a day, they sent part of it, they saved part of that money, they sent to their wife in Italy, and then 1 or 2 babies that they had there. And almost all Italians did this. To look at a lot, save enough money, pass it to their wife to come here after 5 years.
What were your neighbors like during the Depression?
Well, on Lincoln Road where I lived, all Italian. First of all, Irish. All this Nonantum was occupied by the Irish. The Irish came before the Italians, and the Irish, they came, in the research I did, the Irish came in 1850, 1860, 1875. So they were here at least 25 to 35 years before the Italians. So all the Irish lived in the Nonantum district because they had mills in the Nonantum. On Dalby Street and Chapel Street, they're all mills. And they built all these little homes with 3 rooms downstairs, or 2 rooms downstairs, and 3 down here. And all the Irish people worked in the mills. So the Irish were here first. That's why they still have, like, in Maguire Court and Murphy Court. They still have those Irish names, Maguire Court and Murphy Court. And there's others like, on that street.
Did you get along well with the Irish? Or?
No, when they, at that time, well, in the research I did, the Irish were not liked at all. The Yankees looked down on the Irish people, and they would not sell homes to the Irish people. So the Irish had to really fight for everything they received here in Newton.
Did the Italians get along well with the Irish?
No, when they first came, they did call each other names. Quite a few names, I'm afraid. And I went to a ladies' school, and the majority were Irish. The nuns were more non-Irish, Irish. The priests were more or less Irish. Mr. Messina told me how they had to work very hard to get an Italian priest. He and Mr. Bassamani went to Boston to talk to Cardinal O'Connell to get an Italian priest because they had at least 100 families Italian, then they had 200 families, and they used to go, the Italian people used to go to the North End, to the church there in the North End,
Catholic priesthood?
Yes.
How long did it take?
In the 1920s, by the end of 1920, 1930, they got an Italian priest. Father Springy was the first Italian priest. And they had Father Faye. He was Irish, but he had gone to the North American College in Italy. They trained there, so he knew Italian very well. And when he came here, he was loved by all the Italians. He'd go to their homes. He does more than they do now today. He used to go to every home. He knew every Italian family, and they loved him. He used to have his birthday seats and Italian people on the top. That's Christmas Eve time, but they all donate money, even if whether it was $1 each or $2 each to buy Father Faye house and go around the car wherever he wanted. He used to walk every family. He was here about 15 or 20 years. Very well loved man. And he heard, he baptized all their children and married them. Before that, they had to go, as I said, to the North American Church and North American Italian Church. So they did finally that. And now they always have an Italian priest starting Italian people.
You were going to school, did you get along well with different ethnics, or were there a lot of different ethnics?
Not then. Most of them, I would say, were Italian. There were some French, but then they did have a French church during how long, and that's mostly Irish and Italians, because both Irish and Italians don't even have no religious education for children. And almost every Catholic, every child that came from went to our lineage at that time was free. I think they paid a nickel a week, I think, for paper. Otherwise it was free almost every hour across the line. No children. My daughters just graduated now, and that's $600 a year to be a Catholic. Because now they don't get nuns, they're very many people.
So, would you consider Nonantum a religious type town, or when you were growing up?
Yes, very
Catholic.
Everything was church oriented, more or less, yes. When the church was built here, that was 100 years ago, was it 1977, years. So all the people that were here at that time, there were some Italians too, even in 1877, a lot of Irish people, and they all went there to dig the foundation. All these people went there and blew the wheelbarrows and dumped the foundation free. So they all wanted a church. And my uncle said that when he came in the 1920s, he worked for different contractors, and they would donate coal for the whole year to heat the church. See, if they didn't have money, they would do different things. They would donate coal, and they would work around the church. So most of the people here were very and church oriented, Italians, very church oriented, and Irish very church oriented. That's two things that the two have in common. Now our children are intermarrying each other, which is very, very beautiful. Now we find that the Italian and Irish are very congenial. But at one time, when the Italians first came, the Irish looked down on them, they really looked down on them. Probably think that they were dirty. Well, of course, the Irish came from their cottages in Ireland, which were no more different than the cottages that we have in Italy, because I've been to both Ireland and Italy. We have a stone hut, and they've got a stone hut, and they have, what do they put on top of it? Well, ours is all stone on top of the bottom. Ours have the tile. Our cottages in Italy have the tile. The Italians make the tile. The tile is 500 years old. It's still there in Italy today, standing in a lot of the churches in Italy. And the Irish have little put on it. It's like a brush that they put on, and every few years they change it. I don't know what they call it. But anyway,
I'd like to continue with the religious atmosphere. Can you tell me something about Our Lady of Mount
Carmel Society. Well, I don't know if it was Father, which priest it was. See, now I think for that you really should go to Mr. Massini, because he's the one that really told me a lot of this. He told me how he and Mr. Vassalotti went into...
They started?
They went into, yes, they went into, first they get the priest, and after they get the priest, they wanted their own customs, and this is a custom that they had in San Bernardo. Every
So
town
they brought
in
this holiday over.
yeah, every town in Italy has a saint that they call the saint of their village if they do this. But Our Lady Mount Carmel is the Italian, is the San Bernardo. It's one of the ones in San Bernardo. So that's the one.
So it's not a national kind of holiday?
No, because the north of Italy has St. Anthony, they have St. Nicholas. Every town
Has a different patron saint?
Patron saint, St. Francis, and St. They all have different saints.
Because most of the people were from San Bernardo, they brought over the patron saint to Nonantum. That still continues on.
On June 16th. July 16th.
Well, what happens to you? Is there a parade or?
There's a parade. The priest and the mayor, usually the parade, and they carry the statue of Our Lady Mount Carmel on their shoulders. There's 4 men they carry, and then they have the Italian women follow, and Italian men, usually Rosary Society, Sons of Italy, children, all dressed in their communion clothes. Sometimes the women do it with their bare feet. They travel, they want special intention. They travel like during the war. Jenny Picciarelli was one, her son was a prisoner, a Japanese, and she traveled for 4 years on bare feet. Every year for 4 years on bare feet as an offering for her son, and her son is no good. He was one of the original prisoners, Japanese prisoners. And when he was 100 pounds, and found him, he's alive today. But to continue, that's how the women are very religious. They sing the song, and they sing Ave Maria. Every time the sessions go on. And they stop at every house. And one house that they stopped at was Mrs. Elise. Mrs. Elise died at 93. And her son, as a Elise gas station here, and he lived here. Also 60, 70, 80 years in this family. And they stop at every house that has a person that's laid out or bedridden. And Madonna will stop in front of the house, and people will come out with money on Madonna. They stop at every house anyway. Some people donate. Men go around selling little religious medals. Not that they sell it, they donate. $50 on the dollar. But everybody donates $1, $5, or $10. They put it on Madonna as a Thanksgiving, really, for the things they received during the year. It's not, it's a gift to the church. It's a gift to Madonna. Very beautiful. I've seen it done in Italy. I've seen it done in the North End. Boston, the North End, they do it. They have feast the whole 4 weeks in August. They say Anthony, they have Our Lady Mount Carmel, and also they have St. Lucia. Every weekend in North End, they have one of these processions. And it's famous all over Massachusetts. Now, the young people go to the one in Boston, very well known. They put it in the paper. They advertise what it's going to be. The fishermen, fishing, decent fishing. For 3 days also, they have parades, they have a feast. In the North End, they have they're all Italians in the North End also. That's their custom from their times. And all these people outside cook. Yeah, people cook sausages. And all the young people from all over Massachusetts, all the young people, all the ethnic groups go there. And the streets are so crowded, people can't walk. We live in a night, must be at least 500 to 1 million people in the streets. And all day. It's very beautiful. And here, there's not that many. And they'll probably they have 20,000 perhaps, that's all. But the mayor does the procession of priests and marches and all the time. It's very beautiful. In the front of Magnite, on the beach of Magnite, they've been doing this for years. They have rose petals and they spew it in front of the tapestry on the ground. The whole Natalie family go out and put roses and rose petals and flowers. So the first mother, golden roses.
I'd like to ask you about your husband. Did he come over from Italy?
My husband came as a boy at 16. He's a very interesting man because his father was already here, as I said. He came here. His father.
What was his father's?
His father's name was Horatio. He came here. The father came here after the First World War. He made his wife come here, and the wife had 3 children. A daughter, my husband, and my brother is now deceased. My husband's mom had heart trouble. Her doctor, Amendola, who lived here on Arab Street, advised to go back to Italy just to bed. Because when my husband was 2 years old, and he would have been here all his life, and he would have gone to school here, he had to go back to Italy with his mother.
What year is this? Your 20s?
Let's see, my husband is born 1918.
20s?
Yeah, 1918. The war ended, the war ended. 19 war ended. So his father came here right after the war, and that's what most of the men did. There's no working, and so they came from America, but many of them. And so my husband went back to Italy, and then he came here when he was 16. His father had been here all these years, and he was working in the Valenti farm.
Where is the Valenti farm?
The Valenti farm is in
Holland?
And he hired a lot of Italian boys. And Rita Farina's father, Jimmy Farina's wife.
A lot of people, when they came over from Italy, a lot of them had worked on this farm.
They all worked on the farm. They used to work 100 hours a week.
100 hours a week?
100 hours a week.
How many days a week?
Every day. They
Every
worked
day?
every day because Saturday and Sunday especially. They worked all the time. My husband's at work 12 hours. And they got 10 cents an hour.
10 cents an hour. This was in the early 20s.
Well, my husband came in 1935.
Did he work at that farm also?
He came when he took them to work on the farm. They went to, for a while they left the farm and they went to New York. And one of the jobs that they did was they emptied the garbage from New York. They took it to the New York Harbor. And they worked in the, I don't know what they call them, scows. You know, a certain kind of boat to bring all this garbage out to the New York harbor, off the sea. And they worked there for 1 winter and it was freezing. My husband said it was so cold, he was 16 years old, his hands froze. And he told his father he didn't want to do that anymore, so they came back to work on the farm. So my husband worked in the farm.
Did he like doing that?
He liked farming. He worked there.
For how long?
16. 22. He worked there for 4 or 5 years.
Why did he stop?
Mr. Valenti told his father, why don't you send his son to day school? Because he's a smart boy. Send him to day school and I'll make him run the farm for me. And the father said, no, I don't make him come to go to school and I need to go to work. Which was sad. His brother came in 2 years later. His brother Joe Farina came in when he was 15, and he worked in the farm also. But they did go to Newton High at night. But they said after you work 12 hours a day, they were too tired from school. All this garbage out to New York harbor, off the sea. And they worked there for 1 winter and it was freezing. My husband said it was so cold, he was 16 years old, his hands froze. And he told his father he didn't want to do that anymore, so they came back to work on the farm. So my husband worked in the farm.
Did he like doing that?
He liked farming. He worked there.
For how long?
16 to 22. He worked there for 4 or 5 years.
Why did he stop?
Mr. Valenti told his father, why don't you send his son to day school? Because he's a smart boy. Send him to day school and I'll make him run the farm for me. And the father said, no, I don't make him come to go to school and I need to go to work. Which was sad. his brother came in 2 years later. His brother Joe Farina came in when he was 15, and he worked in the farm also. But they did go to Newton High nights, but they said after work 12 hours a day, they were too tired from school. But they learned just enough English to get their 6-inch papers. And that's why my husband's dream was to send all his children to college. So he achieved that dream.
Well, what job did your husband do after?
Well, after he worked in the farm, he worked there until he was 20 years old, and then he did one job after another. He really was very good at it. They planted to celery and planted tomatoes and planted cucumbers, all truck gardening, which they sold to Boston. They had a stand, they sold it in the stand. And then he got tired. He left warranty, went to work for another gardener also, but because they gave him a few pennies more. So in the end, where they add up, if they worked 100 hours, give him $1, wouldn't be very enough, would be $1 or $2 a week. So he left Peter Valenti and went left the other farm. And
What did he do on the farm? Just buying vegetables?
Yes, he was very quick. I mean, all these were all young boys, and they used to, they were very fast. And they plant celery, you know how they plant. They make little holes and put one in each celery, cabbages, tomatoes, lettuce, also lettuce, beans, string beans. They plant all this all truck gardening.
What did they do during the winter?
In the winter, they probably work in the equipment. Some of the things they do work in the equipment. And then also, like my husband said, they went to Boston. They had more free time. They go to Boston for 30 cents. They saw 3 movies. It's 10 cents a movie. They're going to well, the Pockets of Cumberland song at that time, they had a lot of cowboy theaters there. And he and his brother and the other boys on the farm go there and they see movies during lunchtime. And they go to Joe Nemo's and buy hot dogs. They buy a pizza. The women North End, Italian district.
Is that what they did mainly for entertainment?
Yeah.
Movies and all that?
And nothing else. No cars. They learned how to drive in the farm. They did learn how to drive. They someone had a truck. And they learned how to drive there. And that's what got his license in the farm. But by the time he was 21, so this was 4 or 5 years, by the time he was 21, he left the farm and he came to work down here in one of the mills. And it was called the Rose Dairy, and it was a mattress. And the mattress, and I have to learn how to tuck. They do the edging on mattresses. They call it tuck down. And he learned how to do that. And at that time, they were making 30 cents an hour. So it was a big raise, yeah. So he worked there for about another 2 years until he was 23. And that's when he got married. He was 23. And he got married
What year was this?
21. That was in 1939. 41. And not the year that he lost down.
How did the war affect Nonantum?
Well, that's when all the boys, were called up. My husband had to go, but he had gotten bad back because after he left with his brother, and he left Rose Dairy, he went to work with his 2 cousins, Jimmy and Farina, and he carried bricks in his back. So they used to carry the brick. Now they have equipment that carries the bricks up. But at that time, they had to carry. They used to carry maybe 50 bricks in their back, and he was back. And he did that for about 4 or 5 years. The first few years I was married, 4 or 5 years, carrying bricks in his back all the time. And he worked outside, digging ditches, like most uneducated men had to do. It was really sad. It was hard work, but they've always worked hard, Italian people. They've always worked hard. They believe in working hard. And So that's why he couldn't go to the service. But his brother Joe would go. Most of the boys from the Nonantum would call him. And they're very Italian boys down in the church. They have the names of all the Italian boys that are on the Italian Irish also. Downstairs church. And of course, full father and names all these things.
Psychologically, after the war, seeing that it changed a little bit? Is there a different attitude, you think? Is it still the same community?
Yes, I think it's First World War. When the war ended, such great rejoicing. Everybody went to church, all the bells and
After the Second World War?
yeah, after the Second World War. All the bells and ringing, and everybody went to church, and there was a chaplains. A good many boys died. They died, and they died. So, no, I have to refresh my mind. There's many boys who died. And when they put them up that night in the park, all the Italian men are sitting with the benches and the Italian men, the young men go down and sitting at the same time. Another boy that died was the Farina boy, the one whose father was there, father and grandfather all this. And they named the bridge after him, the Farina Bridge, which goes on the cross of church, the street of the church. But by then, the boys, as they came back, they were able to go to college. That's what made a difference.
Right.
All these boys now
because they had the GI Bill.
The GI Bill, right. They were able to go into law, like Antonellis, whose father ran the store. He became a lawyer, law, and became accountants. They started going up the ladder.
Right. The GI Bill. Do you ever think of moving out of Nonantum?
No, I love it there.
Never thought about it at all?
No, because my husband did buy, after we were married, we lived first on Green Court for 1 year. And I had a baby that died, and so then I didn't want to stay down there. And then we moved to Lincoln Road when my mother left. We were very close-knit. We stayed close. So my mother lived in Lincoln Road, so when I rented across the street from her for 5 years. Then we bought this house and we came here, and my husband works across the street. But we're very, very close. My uncle and aunt, we all live within a mile of each other just about. We have we visit each other often. This was before television. We visited every Sunday. We go to church and we visit all your relatives. That's what we did for,
Right.
you know.
What do you think's unique about Nonantum that's different that makes you want to stay here? Is your family's here? Or is there something else?
Well, I think with the church oriented, the church is within half, not even I go to Mass every morning. In fact, I did as a teenager. I went to the church every morning. I always have. My mother is 84 and she goes to Mass every morning. All the Italian women here in Nonantum, you see them going to the 6:30, they go to 4:07 and 7:30 Mass.
A lot of women do.
All the old women. There's probably
They did that when they were young also.
there's 50 to 100, perhaps when they were younger, they worked part-time. A lot of women began to work. Before the Second World War, women did not work outside the homes. Very few women worked. Then with the war, they began to work in the factories and in the school departments and in laundries, and they earn money. And then as they get older, then they go back to church. You see, all the widows of all these men started businesses in Newton. You see, we go every morning off to field to go to church. Very beautiful. We do it. And these are the women that walk behind the Blessed Mother also. And I hope it will continue after they're gone, other women will do it also.
Where did most of the people in Nonantum work during the 20s and 30s? thrive? They work in Nonantum.
Well, they did have the factories. Now, I don't know which factories. They had Raytheon. Raytheon was one that hired a lot of people here. Because I worked after I graduated. I worked in Raytheon for 2 years. So between Raytheon, they had the Hood Rubber. I don't know what the other mills were here. Nichols, I think Nichols. They worked in Watertown Square and Venus. There were factories in Venus, there were laundries in Venus. And these were all the jobs that required more education. They were rag factories. The woman would take the rags apart. And I don't know whether they did recycle material. I don't know if they did. That's where the men and women worked.
And you mentioned the farm earlier.
The farm. Then, of course, men came, they became tailors. A lot of Italians.
Were there a lot of private businesses?
They started a lot of small businesses. A lot of working with iron, and they started iron businesses over here. A lot of them started little gardening business. They built foundations. The Italians are good with masonry. Because in Italy they make blocks, and then they started block businesses, building, making blocks. There is one man that started blocks. I don't know what his name is now. The Basilottis, I think, is the one that started making blocks and cement. So they would hire all these Italians. In other words, they hired all their own men. When a man came from Italy, he had to have a sponsor here. A man that would say, well, I'm going to hire him to work for me. Then I said, didn't want anyone going to welfare, if possible. So when you came to America, you had to have a job already promised you.
Was this even during the 20s also?
Oh, yes. That's why when my uncle would call, he'd say, well, now I have a job working with this company. You know, I have a job with him. And that's what they would do. So when they came here, they knew they were going to have a job already.
So that's how they found their employment when they came here. They didn't have to worry about finding jobs.
No, not too much. They already have it. I mean, the research I did was really kind of sad because they had these unscrupulous men, like I guess they do even have in Mexico now, from what I understand. They have bosses that hire these Mexicans to work in America, and they take half money. Well, I guess they did that to a lot of Italians also. They had to give them part of the money too.
They got the job. Just generally speaking, can you say how you felt growing up in Newton and Nonantum?
Well,
Just how do you feel? What word do you use to describe it? I realize it's a very general question.
I know. Well,
If you can direct, what would you want to say?
I'm a very happy person. So today now you would have considered us poor because we came from Midway during the time of the Depression. We had no new furniture, no new clothes, but we had love and other fathers that loved us. We went to church every Sunday. We went to Broadville School, and I was in all the plays at school. I remember I had only 2 dresses, and I wore those 2 dresses. One week I wore one dress, and one week I wore another dress. So that was really considered poor.
How did you
And
watch?
I never realized that I was poor until now that I'm older. Looking back, I could say that we were poor.
The levels have changed.
Yeah. But in those days, we were happy. We were always happy. We had mother and father that loved us and gave us food. Home was a happy one. And I married happily, and I had my 5 children. And we bettered ourselves. We bought a home and we fixed it. We bought a home that was an old home. This one was 100 years old. But we had made it beautiful over the years. We fixed up a little bit at a time. We fixed it up for our children. We had children. My children brought all their friends home. been a very happy home all the time. My husband has always worked, always. Very hard-working man. He worked gardening, plus working to feed Newton, to give us all the good things in life. My children always brought home their friends. My husband brought an old pool table, an old ping-pong table, which we put up in the yard. And my boys always brought home 6 or 7 friends every night. They come up the stairs, backstairs, go upstairs, play ping-pong in the pool. I was a den mother in Scouts for 6 years.
What were you doing at the time when you were their age for entertainment?
When I was their age, the children's age, in those days they didn't have much entertainment. They just had radio. We went to Hawthorne Playground. Yes, that's one thing that we did do. In the summertime, they Hawthorne Playground in Cabot Park. That was city run. And we went down there, and I remember sewing. We'd go there and the teachers that taught you how to sew. The boys would learn how to do woodwork, little things that they'd make little toys for the yard, like little windmills. They'd play ball, and we'd play Kachuzi, checkers, play ball, dodgeball. I sewed. I remember I got a prize when I was 8 years old for sewing, and I still love to sew to this day. I sew continuously. We went to.
Was there any place where there was a movie theater in Nonantum at all?
No, they had one. They did have one in the corner, but it was 10 cents. You need to have the 10 cents to go to the theater. Very rarely did you go to the theater. If you went once a year, that's all you could go.
Really?
But we would go to Cabot Woods, pick blueberries. I remember even as a child, we'd go up to the woods. The Cabot Woods is near St. Paul, and we'd go there and pick blueberries, and that was a good thing. They had a spring lady that spring water, and that was fun. But he had a sled, and we'd go sledding. I remember we put another sled from somewhere, and we'd play ball in the schoolyard. I was a debater in high school, and I enjoyed that. I was in the honor roll. I was a good student. I love school. I won a prize freshman year of high school. Not post-school party. That time it wasn't post-school party, but the Irish had an essay in Ireland. And I remember this day that I was a freshman in high school, and I won the essay in Ireland. I went to the library and researched it.
Wow.
That was something, an Italian girl from Italy doing the essay in Ireland. They laughed at that. But I was always a good student. I loved school. I was a normal student. I would have gone on to college. I would have been the only one in my family to go on to college because I was a normal student. But my father said, no, you can't go. You have to have a family. I was the oldest of 5 children.
How did you help? Always cooked it all?
Yes, because when I was 16, my mother went to work at the school, and she worked in high school, and so I would be able to provide children and help take care of the children.
What kind of things did you cook? Italian dishes?
Yes.
Were they expensive?
No, at that time we made, they called minestrone soup, and chicken soup, and spaghetti, tomato sauce. Very little meat in those days, I couldn't afford it. And we made our own sausages. All the Italian families made their own sausages. You bought the meat. We bought 50 pounds of meat on the bone, and you scraped all the meat up. You had a machine, you grated the meat through the machine, and made it small. Then you had another machine that the
What
casings.
Do you still have these machines?
I still have them, yeah.
Do you ever use them?
I still make sausages occasionally because they're better. The homemade ones are better. We add orange rind to it, apples, little pieces of apple to chop up.
Put in what you want.
Yeah, you put in the seeds and fennel seeds, anise seeds. It makes them taste very, very good. And I made my own tomato for years. I think all the Italians made their own tomato. I make about 200 quarts of tomato.
How did you make that? Some other machine?
Well, you bought the bushels. You bought about 40 bushels of tomato, and you boil it all day, and then you strain it. I had another machine that would strain it. All the seeds.
These really old machines? Or?
Well, they still have them today. You still can buy them in the store today. It would make the seeds go on one side, the seeds and the skin would go on one side, and then all the juice would go into a big pan. And from the big pan, you put into jars and you sterilize to That was during not only during the Depression, but during the first years of our marriage, when things were still, my husband was still making only 30 cents an hour, making $20 a week. When the first thing we had, the salary was $11 in a factory. When he went to work with his cousins outside, he was making $19 and $20 on construction. That's when he was working so hard. So we did all these things in the house to make ends meet. We made their own tomato, we made their own homemade spaghetti. My sons still make their own homemade spaghetti today. My sons now are 33 and 35.
They help you with this when they were younger?
Oh, that's the whole thing. I laugh because the Boston Globe had an article on family togetherness, and showed how the Italian family, how they're very close-knit, how the mother would make the homemade spaghetti. We'd get a dozen of eggs. You get a whole dozen of eggs, you mix in a bowl of flour and a little water, and you mix it together and let it stay overnight or an hour until it's sort of formed. Like a dough, like a bread dough, but it's better, richer because it would have a dozen eggs in it. Very rich. This is homemade spaghetti. And then you would roll it out with the rolling pin on the board, you roll it out. And then you would fold it in half and you would cut it. And you make a lot of spaghetti. It's delicious. To this day, it's really, really
You still make it now?
I still make it, but now I have a
machine.
Not as often? Now I have a machine.
You have a special machine?
Now I have a machine that cuts it. I still mix it by hand. And let it stay overnight. Then I just put it in the machine. The machine will knead it a few times, and then it will slice it for me. But my boys have watched me do this and make homemade ravioli. They've watched me do this, and now they do it in their own families. My daughter does it in her own family. My sons all do it in their own families. So this is a tradition that you pass on from.
When these machines came, do you think when the newer machines came, did they change your routine at all?
Yes,
you didn't have to spend as much time at home? Or?
I made it well. My husband, when I was raising children, he always wanted to be at home. He didn't want to go out to work. He still had the old-fashioned view that a mother had to be home with the children.
Do you still believe that?
Well, no, my daughter. No, I think if I had to do it differently today, I think I would go out to work a little bit. I think it's good. This way I've worked for the church.
Right.
I've done voluntary work.
You have more free time.
Yes. I sew and I run the first shop for the church, and now I started there 12 years ago.
Who did all the cleaning and the shopping and the washing? How did you wash your clothes back then? Did you have a washing machine?
Well, my mother did it by hand the first few years, and then finally they all saved enough money to buy a machine. That was the big thing, to buy the first easy washer, they used to call it.
That was the first machine people bought?
Yeah, I think so.
Rather than
something else? That was, I think, the first thing, a big thing to buy a washing machine. And I think every Italian family, that's the first thing they bought was that. They didn't keep up the icebox, but they did buy a washing machine, and my mother bought a washing machine for 5 children.
Remember when this was?
What's that?
Remember when this was?
Oh, I think in 1935, late 30s, the first thing they could afford to do was buy it.
Which was more expensive? Refrigerator or washing machine?
I think it was more important for them to buy a washing machine, especially if they had 5 children. They had the icebox for years and years. They had an icebox, and they didn't mind. But a washing machine, that really saved a lot of work. And the Italian men, they all made their wine. That was a really interesting thing. My father, my uncles, all the Italian men were Nonantum. They would go. Columbus Day was a big thing. When Columbus Day arrived, that was the thing that they could all go in Boston and buy their grape. They'd all get a little truck. And if they couldn't rent a truck here in Newton, they'd rent a truck in Boston. And truck would bring, each man would buy 25 to 50 bushels of grape. And then they'd hire a truck to deliver to Newton, to their homes. And each man made his own wine for the year. They had their own big barrels. And they had the press. They had not a machine, but it was you put a bushel of grape into this thing, and you turn the handle, and all the grape would go through this, all grind would go down below to the big barrel, and it'd fill the barrels. It'd make the wine ferment for a month usually. Usually a month was enough to make it ferment.
So it was a good wine.
Very powerful. More powerful than the one you buy today in the store. Much more powerful. And,
do people still make that?
after a month, then they would see when they went through this machine and made the seeds and the skins all stay in it. So then after that, then they had to grind it, press it once more. And when they pressed it once more, then only the liquid would come out and all the seeds and the skins would be thrown away then. And then they get the wine. Then they'd let it stay another 2 or 3 months, and then by January, in the middle of winter, they would tap the wine, and then they all have a wine tasting, and all the men, all the cousins, and all this big thing, all the cousins and all the brothers get together, and they'd all taste the wine, and the wine to see how good it would be. And they'd hold it up to the light to see what color it would be. Whether it would be nice and pink or rosy red. A few only make it today now.
Very few people.
Very few.
When did that die out? Just gradually, as people got older.
Well, like the first generation that came out of the First World War, like one, my father and my husband's father. Now, as they passed away, how many of their sons will make it? So I understand a few people are starting to go back to it now. Few young people. But it's very good. But now the grape is very expensive. At that time, grape was $2 a bushel. Now grape has gone very high. Grape is up to $25 more.
Well, Mrs. Farina, I have no more questions to ask you. Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, all I can say is that I think that the Italian people are wonderful. They're hardworking. They're very religious. They've always worked with their hands. They're very good work with their hands. That's part of their heritage. It's working with their hands. Masonry, shoemaking, shoe repairing, tailoring. I knew New York just hired the Italians right off from Italy. They import from Italy to do all the...
Because of their reputation.
Yeah, with their hands and tailoring. The women very good at sewing, knitting, lace making. Also basically all learned in Italy and brought over from Italy over here in America. Nonantum village. And this has been like their home. That's why, to me, people talk about living in the ghetto. Look, this was like an Italian, I wouldn't say a ghetto because it's open, it's not nothing closed, but it was all a little village of all Italians, and all the Italian women, very few learned how to speak English until much later on. They stayed in their homes for 20 or 30 years. Now finally, the old women know some, words. It's not that big enough to. It's really a ghetto, Italian ghetto also. But now that's all gone.
Didn't feel like it,
Oh no.
Okay, thank you very much.
You must be tired.
I'm not tired.
I'm not tired.